Hi guys. All right, so I am coming from my bed. Um, just because I forgot to do my video before I came into the bedroom. I didn't forget. I just got really caught up with what I was doing. Um, so here I am. All right, so um, I was just watching a very interesting documentary. I think my phone needs to be plugged in. Anyway, so I was just watching this very interesting documentary. It's called "Kidnapped for Christ," and it was interesting to me because as I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, um, that sounds awfully familiar. Um, and it sounds a lot like when I um, was when I left my childhood home when I was 15, 15 and a half. And I went to live in a foster home, a group home. It was specifically a home for abused and neglected children. And it was just interesting, like watching that documentary and seeing the parallels. I really haven't talked like a ton about my life when I lived there, not publicly anyway. Can't talk. um, so I guess this will be it. So in the documentary on that I was watching today, they talked a lot about the different disciplines and kind of how people were, or how they have like stages of. I swear to God, it all came from the same book or something. Like they all went to some training. It didn't say that in the documentary, but that's how I feel, because it was just so similar. So I encourage you to go and check that out. It's on Tubi, which is a free app. Yeah, so very interesting, very, very interesting. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be hard for me to even explain unless you guys have seen it. um, so, my own experience, and again, I saw a very similar experience in that documentary, was so when I first got there was the 30-day probation period, which basically means you have zero privileges. You can't go hang out with the other kids. You can't talk to your family on the phone. You can't talk to anybody on the phone. You don't get mail. Everything is screened. They go through all of your belongings when you first get there and decide what is and is not appropriate for you to have. This included, thong underwear or music that was not specifically Christian. Certain clothing items, like this shirt would definitely be a big no-no. Shorts had to be a certain length, which wasn't like hugely different than my upbringing, like where I grew up, but it was just really interesting that they the control to the point where they were taking away my clothing and stuff like that. So that was the first 30 days, and then there was a lot of you had to ask before you sat down, you had to ask before you got up, you had to ask to use the bathroom, you had to pretty much anything and everything you had to ask to do. And yeah, so So that was the first 30 days. It got a little bit more lax, kind of as I was there. Obviously, the first bit was a lot more difficult. So after my 30 days, my family came to visit, my mom and my dad. And I screamed and begged and cried for them to take me home. And they said that they couldn't. Or maybe they called. I can't really remember. Might have just called. But, oh man, I cried and I cried and I begged and I pleaded. Because even though the place that I grew up was not ideal for me, and was just not a good place for me to be, it was better than where I was, and yeah, it was a very rough time. It was some of my darkest days, because while sexual assault and things like that were very difficult, there was always still like good things happening, and while I was there, it was not quite like that. I mean, eventually, once I proved myself to them, then I had more privileges and things were a little bit better, but like, I don't know. Yeah, so, eventually I did get my privileges, and I was able to, like, be a part of the rest of the girls. Mind you, they did not like me, new kid on the block, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of had to, like, earn my, can't stand that, I'm gonna be peeling at it. Anyway, so I had to be, I had to learn how to be thick-skinned. I mean, I've always been a little weird, I'll say that. And, I don't know, I feel like my upbringing and like where I grew up and the way that I grew up and stuff like that, it kind of made it a little difficult for me to function in the outside world. So going to this place where all these girls were from the outside world, and all of them smoked cigarettes, and like in the previous life, all of them had sex, all of them had more than sex. All of them had drunk. All of them had done like normal teenage stuff. So it was really hard for me to kind of fit in, I guess. But then, like, trying to find the balance of trying to fit in and in trying to get by enough so that eventually I'd be able to go home. It was difficult. It was really difficult. So so disciplines, if you were caught doing anything you weren't supposed to be doing, like one time they caught me with like cigarette butts. Mind you, it was just me rebelling. I wasn't actually all that interested in actually smoking, but it was, rebelling. And they made me go out into the backyard and dig a 6x6x6 grave for myself. Obviously they didn't put me in it, but they made me dig that. And during my time, while I did that, I had to, I was secluded to the laundry room. So I had a desk that faced the wall, and I wasn't allowed to interact with anybody for 30 days. and all I was allowed to eat was hard-boiled eggs and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So, I'm sorry, this documentary brought up all sorts of memories. And that was also the first time that while I was living there, was the first time that I ever came out. And I came out to my roommate. There were 3 of us in that room, and I came out to one of my roommates, and the other roommate overheard and told on us. I don't even remember what the discipline for that was. I know I had to look through the Bible and write out a bunch of scriptures about why homosexuality was bad. And I'm sure I was back in seclusion. Probably that happened like 3 times while I was living there. Well, they made me weed a pond. That was one of the things they made me do. They made me weed a pond. It was a very large pond. And yeah, so we were out there like 3 days weeding this pond. We were not allowed to talk to each other. Her and I were on opposite ends of the pond. And I'm pretty sure we were in seclusion as well, but it was just really awful. They were really awful. I was forced to call the house mom. I was forced to call the dad, which I was obviously not comfortable with because they were not my parents, and yeah, I don't know. It was a rough place to be, and I was there for 1 year and 4 months. Who was counting? Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go for the night. I did get a whole lot of stuff done. I'm really, really proud of. I took the dogs to the park, and we were there for 2 whole hours. They absolutely loved it, so they're pooped and sleeping now. Which I suppose I should be doing too. I did my nails. I went and saw my mother-in-law and Aunt Brenda. I don't call her Aunt Brenda, I just call her Brenda, but what else did I do? I didn't spend money. I did get a breakfast sandwich. I'm so bad about those. I really am. I put new hosing on the sump up hose outside. It didn't get my photo wall done, but that's okay because I got a lot of other stuff done, which I'm really proud of. I ate pretty decent. I had breakfast. I finished breakfast for lunch, and then I finished my sandwich for dinner. So I did good. I drank 1/2 gallon and then a little. So that was good. Yeah. I'm just proud of myself because I had a good day. I really did. And even watching the documentary, I also watched some documentaries of the Latter-day Saint cult also. So I watched like 2, I watched one of those, and then I watched another one about the kids that have left that, which was pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna go finish this other documentary and try not to cry anymore. I mean, it's kind of empowering because, you know, to know where all the things that I've come from and grown from, and become a much stronger person from. But still hurts. And I put a lot of that behind me. So to kind of have it, I don't know, I don't usually cry when I talk about things that have happened to me. But I haven't really talked about my experience there very much because it was just, it's easier not to. I guess I'm jaded to the rest of the stuff that happened in my life. But that was a little more difficult to become jaded to. So anyway, I will talk more to you guys, or talk more with you guys tomorrow. I'm having a hard time speaking apparently today. I found myself stuttering at the dog park, which happens a lot when I'm really nervous or anxious. I stutter. So I have to I have to slow myself down, and yeah. So, but I did it, and I talked to people, and I snuggled lots of dogs. And my boys were super happy, and they kept coming over to let me know how happy they were. So it was cool. I'm way over on time, but that's okay because I get to do whatever I want. It's my vlog, so. Alright, so I guess I'm gonna head to bed shortly. I'm gonna finish my documentary and head to bed, and I will see you guys in the morning. Have a great night, sleep well, and give yourself all a pat on the back because you guys have survived. I don't know what you've survived. I mean, some of you I do, but majority of you, I don't really know a lot about your history as far as what you've survived and stuff, but you survived, you're stronger, you're beautiful, and I hope you guys have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.